My name is Sarah, and I'm a 37-year-old stay-at-home mom. I've been married to my husband, John, for 8 years. We had difficulty having children, and it took us 4 years of fertility treatments. But our dream has finally come true. To our surprise, we're expecting twins. I was so overjoyed that I cried in front of my doctor. When I told John about the twins, he was over the moon. Of course, my parents were delighted too. My in-laws, on the other hand, were utterly surprised. Well, isn't this something? Not only Bob, but you too, John. I wonder if we have the genes for twins running in our family, my mother-in-law said. Yes, indeed. My husband's younger brother, Bob, also has twins. Unlike us, Bob and his wife had children right after getting married. Their twin boys are currently 4 years old and quite mischievous. I'm quite anxious about raising twins, so it's reassuring to have someone nearby who I can consult about parenting. As the expected delivery date draws near, I struggle more with my huge belly. Being pregnant with twins is anything but relaxing. It's a blessing to know that my twins have grown this much without any major issues. These twins are doing their parents a favor even before they're born, I ponder, already feeling like a proud mom as I somehow manage to get the housework done. What's this? This doesn't taste right, my husband complains despite my efforts to keep up with the housework. I'm sorry, I couldn't taste it because I'm feeling sick. What's that about? Your morning sickness should be over by now. You should be in your stable period. Stop making excuses. There's no stable period with a twin pregnancy, I reply. Don't make excuses. You're a stay-at-home mom. At least get your cooking right. And what's with this mess? My husband is always angry and complaining. He doesn't help with anything. He won't even take out the trash. Besides my unsympathetic husband, there's another source of stress. What's with this mess? Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you can slack off, my mother-in-law says daily. I'm sorry, I've been feeling sick since morning. Seriously, can you even give birth like that? You know you won't be done after just popping babies. Your job as a mom starts only after that. Yes, I'm aware. Now, go fix lunch. My mother-in-law, who visits every day, is my biggest source of stress. Her house is about a 10-minute bike ride away, and she shows up every day around noon, nags at me, has me prepare lunch for her, and continues to nag until she leaves. It's truly baffling behavior. I guess it's okay to leave my father-in-law on his own. I think at my wit's end with her daily assaults. I finally brought it up with my husband. Listen, my due date is approaching, and I'm thinking of going back to my parents' home. I tell him. Huh? Aren't you supposed to be hospitalized before your due date? Just stay here until then. I'm scheduled for a C-section, so I'll be admitted to the hospital a little before my due date. Yes, but we don't know when labor will start, do we? Besides, honestly, it's tough having your mom over every day. What's that supposed to mean? I told my husband about the daily onslaught from my mother-in-law. He knew she was coming over every day, but he probably didn't know she stays for so long. He looked a bit surprised. Well, I understand it might seem a bit selfish, but isn't it because she feels comfortable with you? She feels like being around you. She treats you like her own daughter, doesn't she? So be a little nicer to her. Well, I could stand her before my belly got big, but now it's impossible. Don't you feel anything looking at this belly? As I pointed to my enlarged belly, my husband just shrugged his shoulders. Well, I guess it is big, and it might make moving around difficult. Do you realize how hard it is to walk with this belly? And yet your mom keeps coming over and nagging me every day. She doesn't help at all. In fact, she just bosses me around. It might lead to irreparable consequences. Are you okay with your baby being affected? Well, I certainly don't think I want that. Then please talk to your mother. If you continue to ignore me. As I spoke, my emotions ran high and words slipped out unexpectedly. My husband's eyes widened in surprise. What's that? Are you talking about divorce? If things remain as they are, yes. I'm really at my limit. If I continue to be troubled by your mother, and if you continue to side with her. He probably realized I was serious and let out a deep sigh. I understand. Really? Really? Can't you believe me? It's not that, but to be honest, I'm skeptical. There are signs that you value your mother more than me. Then let's do this. Prepare the divorce papers. Wait, what? If you think you can't trust me and it's not going to work, you can file them whenever you want. How about that? Can you believe me now? Yes. Seeing my husband's determination, I felt relieved. After that, he actually prepared the divorce papers and seemed to have warned his mother. In the end, I didn't return to my parents' place, but after that day, There were no more onslaughts from my mother-in-law until I was hospitalized. I had a C-section and safely gave birth to twins. For a while after that, I stayed at my parents' home, somehow managing the whirlwind of first-time parenthood. However, as a new mom, I struggled to raise my twins. Then one day, my husband came to visit me at my parents' place. "Can you come back home soon?" "Huh? It hasn't even been a month yet." "It's already been a month. Aren't you just having too much fun while leaving the house?" "Fun? I've had no such time. Being a mother of twins is tough. I'm enduring my painfully slow recovery from childbirth because of my advanced age, and yet I'm still taking care of our kids." "So what if you're old? There are plenty of people who don't return to their parents after giving birth. Stop being such a baby and come back home already." After saying those harsh words, my husband left. Didn't he come to see our kids? Without even properly looking at his children or holding them, my husband left just like that. While calming down my crying twins, I too became sad and shed tears. Not wanting to strain our marriage, I returned home, shaking off my parents who tried to hold me back. "You finally came back. Do you even understand what it means to be a wife?" The moment I opened the door, these were the words that came out of my mother-in-law's mouth. She was waiting for me, standing there like a guardian statue. Exhausted, I found it hard to even respond, so I silently walked past her. "Hey, don't ignore me." Ignoring her words, I entered the room and was left speechless. "Call this place my home," I muttered, looking at the disastrous state of the house. The kitchen was piled with dishes with no space for cooking. The floor was covered with discarded clothes, garbage from empty lunchboxes, and more. And to think I'd just been away for about a month. Mother-in-law, did you come here while I was away?" "I was here the whole time. I was worried about my son struggling alone." "So you were here all the time and we still have this mess. Worried about your son, and yet you let our home turn into a disaster? Anyone would fall sick in an environment like this. It's unsanitary for my babies." She's raised kids before. Does she not even care about basic hygiene? First, I put my twins to sleep in the bedroom where their crib was set up. Then I started to clean up. I guess this will do for now. Just when I finally finished cleaning up, my babies started crying again. I didn't even have a moment to catch my breath. I finished cleaning as the sun was already starting to set. "You're finally done. You're so slow," my mother-in-law said while she sat on a chair, sipping her tea. It took everything in me not to splash her tea over her head as I strained to feed my babies. She set down her teacup with a clink and looked at me, saying, "Oh, by the way, starting this weekend, Bob's twins will be coming over. You don't mind looking after them, do you?" "Excuse me." I was so shocked that I had to take a long pause before responding. "Could you please repeat that?" I said Bob, my youngest son. The twins from his family are going to be staying with us on weekends from now on. "What do you mean by that?" "We're doing this to give Bob and his wife a break. You're having an easy time with your own twins who just sleep all day, so it's only fair that you can do this for them, right?" I was dumbfounded. I'm not having an easy time at all. In fact, I'm so busy I barely have time to sleep. With the situation at home now, things are only going to be rougher. What on earth are you talking about? What's so hard about being a stay-at-home mom? I'm giving you a job to do. Be grateful and accept it. I can't. You just can't because you're inefficient with housework. Don't make your incompetence an excuse. It's been decided. This is a done deal. With that, she left. Just like my husband, she states her piece and leaves without hearing me out. But now isn't the time for me to be impressed with how similar my husband is to his mother. Mother, like son. Panicked, I called my husband, who should still be at work. "What's up? I'm busy right now." "Listen, your mom just said the most outrageous thing. She wants us to look after Bob's twins on the weekends." "Oh, that. You knew about this." I couldn't believe my husband knew about this. "Why didn't you say no?" "Well, Bob's family is having a tough time. They can't even eat out because the twins are so rowdy, and they don't get any rest or time to enjoy themselves. Don't you feel bad for them?" "Yeah, that must be rough, but why does it mean we have to take care of them? Your mom and dad can take care of them instead." "Mom and dad are too old for that. You want to put all that burden on them. You're so cold-hearted." "What about me? I'm already overwhelmed with taking care of our own twins. Babies are easy. They just sleep, eat, and sleep again. It's not that hard. Oh, and don't slack off on housework. I won't allow any excuses. Keep that in mind. If you refuse, we're getting a divorce." "What? Aren't you going to help?" "Me? No way. You want your hard-working husband to work even on his day off. You're a devil." There was no point in talking to them. Both my husband and my mother-in-law were the absolute worst. It felt like I was talking to a wall. I ended the call in silence. Even with all the crap I'd been enduring, to my surprise, I remained cool-headed. I decided to call elsewhere. A few minutes later, having ended the call, I found myself gazing at my sleeping twins. Their adorable faces gave me the courage I needed. My husband and mother-in-law were solely fixated on their own interests with no consideration for me. Whether they're around or not, my workload wouldn't change. So I've decided to completely sever ties with both my husband and mother-in-law. That night, my phone rang. It was my husband. "Hello. I just got home. Why aren't you here? Where are you?" "I'm at my parents' house." "What? You came back from the hospital. Why are you still at your parents' house?" "I went back home once and cleaned up. It's clean now, isn't it? So why are you at your parents' house now?" "Because I'm fed up with you." With that, I ended the call and turned off my phone. I thought he might call my parents' house, but perhaps it was awkward for him if my parents picked up. So no one came. Instead, the next morning, my husband showed up. "Hey, Sarah, you're here, aren't you? What the hell are you thinking?" To my surprise, my mother-in-law was with him. The lovely mother-son duo had made their appearance. "Can you not cause a scene this early in the morning?" I responded to their displeased faces. "What the hell do you think you're doing? Hurry up and come back home." "Yes, come back and take care of the house." "What am I supposed to eat?" My mother-in-law chimed in. They both teamed up and exclaimed energetically. I thought, why don't you guys go eat some grass in the yard? But it wasn't the right time to strike back. I gave a cold stare at the two who were pressing me and clearly stated, "My home is here. I'm not going back to the house where you guys stay." "What are you saying? You're getting a divorce?" "Yes. As a matter of fact, I submitted the divorce papers last night. You said it yourself. I can turn in the papers whenever I want if things don't work out for me. You said the same thing yesterday." "That's just a figure of speech. It's just to show my determination. Who would even take that literally?" I did. My husband seemed to be at a loss for words. "Sarah, you're just mentally unstable from giving birth, aren't you? Get another marriage certificate and come back. If you do what you're supposed to do, I'll forgive you." My mother-in-law took over, trying to convince me. "Go back, take care of you, and look after Bob's twins on the weekends." "Is that what you want?" I asked, confirming what she expected from me. "Of course." I declined. "What did you say?" "First of all, does Bob know that I'm supposed to take care of his kids?" "Ha! Bob didn't know about this, did he?" Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law's face turned pale. To my disbelief, she had decided on her own to make me take care of Bob's twins. In fact, I had called Bob after talking with my husband last night. When I explained the situation, Bob was very surprised. "You're already taking care of your own twins, aren't you? I wouldn't dream of burdening you with our kids too. Sure, our twins can be a handful, but we love them to pieces. If we left them with you on our days off, we wouldn't get to play with them." In other words, my mother-in-law had taken it upon herself to assume that Bob and his wife needed help, and she decided to take in the twins without their consent, then tried to delegate the responsibility to me. I could never understand her. "The divorce proceedings are done. Can you please leave now?" "There's no way I can accept this," my husband insisted stubbornly. "Can you stop already?" All of a sudden, I heard someone yell from behind. When I turned around, my father was standing there. "Dad." He was flustered. "You've been saying some pretty selfish things. Have you ever helped out around the house? Do you even look after the twins at all?" My husband was searching for words in response to my father's questions. "I'm tired from work." "Oh, yet I hear that you take breaks all the time without doing any significant work. Even when everyone else is working overtime, you always leave work on time, and yet you're always coming home late. Are you having an affair?" No. I was just hanging out." "Really? Now you push all the housework and childcare onto my daughter and then go have fun. You have it easy, don't you?" "Ah, well, that's..." In reality, my husband was employed at the company my father runs. While it's a small-scale business, it has a fair number of employees. Among them, my husband had been loafing around, acting high and mighty because he's the CEO's son-in-law. This fact came to light when my father conducted an internal investigation. I had believed he was working hard late into the night, so I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I will ask you to quit the company due to your problematic behavior. There's no reason to keep someone who's not a family member any longer, especially since you divorced my daughter. What? No way. Get out of here. I'll give you a formal notice tomorrow. Make sure to pack your things at the office early in the morning. My ex-husband, turned pale hearing my father's declaration. As my father turned his back on him and I was about to enter our home, my ex-husband did something completely unexpected. He forcefully pushed me to the side and tried to barge into our home. "Hey, what are you doing?" I yelled as he attempted to shove my father away. "Move. Hand over my kids. If they're with you, you'll come back, right?" My ex-husband was just yelling nonsense. "Don't be absurd, using your own children as a hostage," my father shot back. "Shut up. It's because you won't come back." My ex-husband desperately tried to force his way into our home. I clung to him, trying to prevent his intrusion, while my ex-mother-in-law frantically tried to pull me off him. My father rushed to block the front door from inside. It was utter chaos. If I let him take my children, only the absolute worst could happen. I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Stop!" Just then, I thought I heard the siren of a police car approaching, followed by a sharp braking noise in front of our house. "Officer, over here." "Mom." The person who squeezed past my father and rushed out was my mother. She hurried towards the officer who had just gotten out of the police car, explaining the situation. "What the hell? I'm her husband. I'm her family. What is wrong with entering my mother-in-law's home?" "I'm this boy's mother. Why are you cops here?" All right. We'll hear your story at our office," the officer said. My ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law were vigorously resisting the police's questioning, and it seemed they were eventually taken away. My mother, who had been watching our exchange from inside the house, had sensed something was off and called the police. "Thank you, Mom." I called because I thought something was wrong, but to think they would try to take away the twins. They're unbelievable. Trying to change my feelings by taking our kids as hostages was awful. After explaining the situation to the officer, we exchanged weary smiles. Later on, my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law were released but were given a restraining order to stay away from me. After discussions through a lawyer, I successfully received a lump sum payment for alimony and child support. My ex-husband, who had been fired from my father's company and lost all his money, ended up living a hard life in a run-down apartment, working part-time. How do I know this? Because my ex-husband sent me numerous texts, repeatedly whining about his situation. I was wrong. I love you and the kids. Why was I so selfish? I've changed. Can't we start over? Or if you could just do the cleaning and laundry, I'll forgive you. I'll come back. I'll be waiting, and so on. Even though he said, I was wrong, he ended his text with, I will forgive you. It didn't make sense. Of course, I ignored him. I got fed up and finally blocked him. I heard from my ex-brother-in-law, Bob, that my ex-mother-in-law had moved into my ex-husband's shabby apartment. Surprisingly, my ex-mother-in-law had apparently been asked for a divorce from my ex-father-in-law quite some time ago, which explains why she came over to our place so often. My ex-mother-in-law, who used to pick on everything I did, turned out to be a hopeless housewife who couldn't do any chores. I heard my ex and his mother are constantly fighting as neither one of them can do basic chores. My mother and brother have caused you trouble. I am so sorry. Bob apologized to me over the phone, sounding sincere. Bob must have inherited all my ex-father-in-law's sense. Raising twins can be tough. Please don't hesitate to consult me or my wife. His supportive words made me very happy. After hanging up the phone, the cries of the twins echoed throughout the house. All right, I'm coming. As I peacefully watched my adorable twins grow, I felt nothing but happiness.